Hello everybody, my name's Player Negative, and today we're talking about something we've done before, but a little bit different. Let me explain. Now, well-known viewers may remember my top 5 best evil doppelgangers in video games. I'm going to do something similar to this, but instead I'm talking about the top 5 best characters who are undeserving of the hatred that they got. So without further ado, here are the contestants, and let's get into it. First up, we have Waterboy from the Dispatch universe, which is basically the newest superhero franchise to show up, which I genuinely like, will deserve its own video, but that's not the point today. Now, if his name or his attire didn't make it obvious, his main ability is water. So you're probably asking yourself, where's the problem with that? That sounds like a cool power. Well, you see, he can't shut off, which makes simple things like pressing an alarm clock or petting a cat an absolute nightmare. But the worst offender of his abilities is the fact that it happens all over his body, meaning he can't use toilet paper, hence why he dreams about it so much. Yet despite all of that, he is still willing to do good, whether it's help his grandmother or fill a pond for a bunch of ducks. And later on, where you actually get to meet him in the game, you later have the option of recruiting him onto your team, and he slowly progresses and gets better as a character. He goes from being a nervous wreck of a janitor to being a hero who's actually capable. And he's generally a nice guy who doesn't get that angry. I mean, the worst he's done is trash a vending machine. Like this.
Feel better?
Kinda. I'll clean it up.
So with all that being said, you're probably sitting there thinking, this sounds like the nice guy ever. Why on earth do people hate him? It's the stupidest reason in the world. They hate him because he threw a random guy's lunch away as a janitor. Now, let me explain why this is stupid, because as someone who actually does janitorial work and has a part-time job that involves a lot of manual labor, I understand where this guy's coming from, and I have done that exact same thing. Also, how stupid are you people? The character in question, whose name is Flambe, I'm not going to show you a picture because Dispatch is a good game and I do not want you guys to be spoiled, is just a jerk throughout most of the game. He's a jerk to you, he's a jerk to pretty much everybody. And I feel like, what? We're defending this guy even though he's been a jerk and he attacks the nicest guy in the entire game. At this point, I'm like looking at you people going, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You people are stupid. This is stupid. I literally just listed hundreds of qualities that make him great. And you guys are mad because he threw someone's lunch away? It's an accident that happens. I would know. I do the similar amount of work that he does. Heck, if I wet my hair and put on the same jumpsuit, I could cosplay as him. Anyways, with that being said, let's just move on to the next character, because just dealing with people who say this guy is annoying for that reason in particular is just stupid. Our next candidate is Chris Thorndike from Sonic X. Now, I have a lot of things to say about him because a good majority of the Sonic fandom absolutely hates this guy. And I have a lot of reasons to defend him and to talk about him. But before I get into the character, I need to get into Sonic X and the situation of its regional differences. And that comes from Fox for Kids. You see, anime didn't have a proper way of being broadcasted during the time when cable network was a thing. And one main issue about anime is that it wasn't really understood as being mature due to its colorful and kiddie nature in some different iterations. So it was often shoved onto this broadcasting program where they would either change, redub, or censor certain scenes. Now, back in the day, this made perfect sense, but realistically speaking, it's stupidity because it shows the disconnect between viewers who actually can take a sensitive story and executives who want to pander to their shareholders. Also, a lot of people state that it kind of gutted the story plots of many anime like One Piece and Pokemon, and Sonic X was no different from this. Sonic X is an anime that ran during the early 2000s that was during the dumpster fire that was the 2010s, during the time when Sonic's newer games weren't selling, and it was the first instance where Sonic media that was external actually tried to tie itself to the games. So you're probably all asking yourselves, what does this have to do with Chris? Well, everything. You see, a lot of people don't like him due to the fact that many people interpret him as being clingy or annoying, or that him being so attached to Sonic is annoying. And it is, but do you ever stop and wonder why he acts this way? The reason behind it is actually quite surprising. Watching his parents walk away from him and telling them to do well until he returns. It's been shown and explained time and time again that his family is completely absent from his life, and he's been told at a young age that love and respect or affection are things to be earned and not things that are freely given. And that's why Sonic matters so much to him, because he's the first person in his entire life who's actually shown any form of affection to him or trust as a friend. Which makes sense, because no matter what iteration of Sonic you're talking about, game, movie, comic, or anime, one thing has always stayed consistent about his character. He shows people how to be the best versions of themselves, which has been a current talking point with the more newer games that have been coming out. The whole point of Sonic is that he represents the freedom or the choice to be something more. So having a character who reflects that choice would make perfect sense. But there's just one problem. That's only in the Japanese version of the show. If you watch the American version, the scene that I described but couldn't show due to copyright laws is completely censored out because they thought it'd be too heavy for the idea of a kid to be abandoned by their parents or to be absent. Which honestly is just stupidity because it guts his entire character. The reason why everyone hates him is because, due to that scene being removed, his clinginess is just taken out of context, making him look like an obsessive jerk. And that's mainly only season 1, because later on in the series, he actually grows and does more as a character. You know, character development, which I feel like a lot of people overlook. Like, he literally builds gadgets for Sonic that are very helpful and useful. So much so that one of them got incorporated into Sonic Prime. For those of you who do not know, the air shoes in the pirate version of Sonic's world are actually based off air shoes that were created by Chris within the anime, and they literally behave the exact same way and are designed for the exact same purpose, so Sonic can use his speed on water. I know we all love to make fun of Sonic Prime because the characterization was off from what Sonic quote-unquote should be, but I feel like to bring this up, that the anime had this big of an impact that aspects of it came into this show feels like something to bring up. So with that being said, Chris Thorndike is kind of the victim of just his story being ripped out of context, kind of like Lilo and Stitch's live action remake. To be honest, even without the context, I still thought he was a good character. Like, I watched Sonic X, like I binge watched it a bunch of times. To be honest, I don't really hate him. He's skilled as an inventor later on. He assists Tails. He and his grandfather literally build a car specifically for his disabled friend. He does a lot of good. To be honest, I don't understand why people hate him. It's just, Plus, he's the only human Sonic character who is a child who hasn't been gruesomely murdered yet. Like, I don't know if this is some sort of obsession Sonic writers have, but you could not have a kid who is under 17 or 18 without them dying. Like, I feel like it's just a rule. If it's a girl and if it's a little kid, they have to die. Like, in Sonic, it's just something that happens, and I don't understand it. Alright, let's just get out of this before I get demonetized. Our next option is going to be... You know what? Just roll the tape. Roll the tape! Our next candidate is Morgana from Persona 5. Now, there's a lot to say about this guy because a good majority of people genuinely hate him, and I honestly don't see why. I mean, just look at him. He's a cute little cat. What's possibly the reason you have to hate this guy? And then I looked it up, and apparently there are multiple reasons, but it's broken down into 3 basic things. Number 1, he's cocky. Which, to that I say, so what? Half the entire roster is cocky. Honestly, he deserves a lot more credit than he gets. He's the main healer in the game. Story-wise, he's the reason why half the roster isn't dead. And 3, he's the most knowledgeable out of the group. He's the reason the group is even a thing. Not only that, he's also the guy with the van. Scratch that. He's the guy who turns into the van for them to navigate harsher areas. So I really don't see the issue. That was until I looked it up and figured out that another reason why people don't like him is a game mechanic that he's associated with. You see, in Persona 5, and this has become a common meme nowadays, the game is part RPG, part sort of like a visual novel or something, where basically you interact with your fellow teammates, and as you grow stronger with them as friends, you gain more experience. Now, the problem about this is that in Persona 3 and the other games, you were able to max your stats out pretty dang well. In Persona 5, however, Morgana would sometimes show up on top of you, preventing you from getting up and telling you to go back to sleep. And a lot of people hated this because the other games let them max out those stats, but Morgana doesn't. Which, I understand some people like to speedrun and 100% the games, but sometimes there's a little nice sense of the monotony of just taking your time. Also, a game mechanic? Really? This is what you guys hate about the character? Honestly. Looking at Morgana's actions throughout Persona 5, he goes a long way to help you, and it just seems stupid that that's the thanks he gets for everything he does. I mean, he's willing to call one of you guys out when you choose to exploit the popularity that your group has for his own selfish benefits. He calls it out, and you all hate him for it? Honestly, I just don't see the problem with it. He literally dies at the end of the game, and you still hate him. Like, what the heck? Well, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I am Player Negative, and I'll see you later.